Welcome to Sons of a Gun, a podcast about the DCU. I'm a son of a gun. I'm Alex Gunn.
I'm a son of a gun, a particular gun, Justin Gunn.
I'm Pete.
And Pete is our lawyer, and he advises us not to say who our celebrity father
That's
is.
right.
But Daddy made another one with episode 7 of season 2 of Peacemaker, Like a Keith in the Night. If you
But you meant Daddy
watched...
made another son of a gun.
Not yet, but fingers crossed he and Bobby work it out. I guess we'll see what happens. That was weird. I'll edit that out later. Okay.
Nope. No, you won't. No, you won't.
No, I won't. No, I won't.
You won't remember.
If you haven't watched Like a Keith of the Night on HBO Max, please do, because we're going to spoil it right now. But the brief recap here, because there's not much to the episode, is they are on Earth X. It's like half an hour long. I don't know. It's fine. I'm not complaining about it. Oh,
so much happened.
Well, anyway, they're on Earth X. Peacemaker and Harcourt try to escape. They end up being saved by the alternate Nazi dimension Augie and Keith, who don't want Argus and the Evergreen Police Department to find out about their dimensional door that connects to the quantum unfolding chamber. Ultimately, they make a deal with them to return them to their Earth. Unfortunately, they don't know about the two vigilantes, one of whom is a leader or part of the Sons of Liberty, the organization fighting against the Nazi regime. They team up with Adebayo and Judomaster, who themselves have teamed up to escape a bunch of racists and play Scrabble. They break into the house. One of the vigilantes, I'm honestly not sure which one, kills Augie, and then Eagly attacks Keith in the process of them escaping. They get out, but Keith is grievously injured, and Peacemaker is grief-stricken because his father gave a very emotional speech to him before he died. And when they get back to the regular universe, he gives up the quantum unfolding chamber to Argus and tells Argus that everybody else went to get him, essentially freeing them and putting them back in the good graces of the United States government. That's where we end, going into the final episode. And of course, I cannot forget Sidney Happerson, everybody's favorite character from Superman the movie, not the Christopher Reeve one, but the more recent one, returns. He's back in the DCU. The fan campaign worked. So exciting.
Yeah, I think we all lit up when we got to see him do something in the episode. Something.
Yeah, he did a thing, a very quick thing.
The camera was on while he was doing it, so it felt like we should watch it. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem important. Or did they know the camera was on?
Are you guys talking about the dad from Riverdale? Is that who we're talking about?
No, he's sucking on a cheesesteak.
Yeah, hold on.
Wow. Hal Cooper.
Hal Cooper. I was like, oh, it's Riverdale is a racist Nazi world when he opened the door.
Just to mention that, that's Lachlan Monroe, who plays Agent Fitzgibbons. He was in the first season. If you don't remember who he is, he was one of the Evergreen Police Department agents who was trying to find out what's going on with Peacemaker, what's going on with the butterflies, the alien threat from season 1. He was eventually killed and taken over by a butterfly, so now here he is back on Earth X, still part of the Evergreen Police Department. Makes sense that his partner, who is Asian, was not there because everybody of color is in camps. The other thing that we're referring to is we did a Riverdale podcast called Riverdale After Dark. We got a cameo for Pete, our good friend Pete, where we asked Lachlan Monroe to say something about cheesesteaks, and Lachlan Monroe said...
Sucking on a cheesesteak.
Oh, boy.
He said that. He chose to say that.
Yeah, that was his choice. Sucking on a cheesesteak. So
I love
what
it.
we're talking about.
I'll
Good
never
to see him
forget
back.
that, man.
Good to see him back.
Great to see him back. Yeah.
Another fan campaign pays off.
Yeah. Who were you guys talking about?
We're talking about tall guy with a mustache.
The prisoner
He knows
guy.
portals, sort of.
Yes. So if you forgot who he was from Superman, though, how could you? He was the tall guy with a mustache in Superman who kept saying things like, Lex, you've got to close the rift, and things like that in the movie.
Great. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know, but your acting was so good, it brought me back to that moment.
Thank you. He's also the one that at the end, he's like, to Mr. Terrific, is like, I can help you shut down this portal. And Mr. Terrific is like, damn, I don't need your help. Get out of here, and pushes him out of the way. There you go.
Yeah.
Sounds
It
like
is funny.
someone who's terrific would say that.
It is funny that a character like his that is in the movie but is like sort of under remarkable, I'll say. Mm-hmm. And then to be like, we got him, and then he sort of does more here than he does in the Superman movie. But to what effect, I don't know.
The thing that was, I mean, I don't know. This sort of gets back to, not to complain about the stuff. We should talk about the stuff we like in a second. But just while we're talking about this, my issue with the last episode where I don't want to see them figure out the quantum unfolding chamber, but at the same time, I need a beat of like, versus, okay, we know how 50 buttons work with no practice whatsoever.
Right.
The same thing here where they're like, Lex recommended you as the only guy who can figure out what this portal is. And he's like, okay, no problem. Presses one button and he's like, there's the portal. I was like, I could have used like, I don't know, a time dash here.
What threw me off was when they were like, yeah, we heard you're a portal expert. And he goes, portals? What's that? I was like, wait, what is happening?
Oh, no. I don't think he said, what's that?
He didn't say, what's that? He was like, portals? What?
Well, because he hates portals. The main character thing is he hates portals and keeps telling Lex not to open the portal in Superman. So that really continues and expands on his character thread.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That was an interesting reading of that line, I thought.
And we're probably going to see more of him. We get to see him in the end credits scene.
It's a
Flag
sick
is like,
mustache.
I like you. I got to bring you back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. This scene or this situation just is a symptom of a larger issue I have with this episode. That I feel like the show has done such a good job this season of setting up these emotional stakes. We've built it up. We have the big reveal of the Nazi world that they've been in, where the Nazis won World War II. Interesting idea, Earth X. And then this episode felt sort of like, let's not get too serious. Let's fuck around. Let's just fuck around the whole time. And I feel like the stakes got lowered almost universally across the board. The Argus stuff seemed like such B plot. And a lot of it felt just like an Outer Limits episode. It felt like it didn't look as good as other stuff. So I don't know. I was just really surprised by this episode.
Oh, go ahead, Pete. Were you going to keep talking about this topic, or are you going to start listing some other things?
I was going to start moving this into a positive spin and start.
Let's talk about what I'm saying. Let's talk about what I'm saying for a second, and then you'll get your time.
Well, I disagree with what you're saying, which is why I'm trying to bring up some great things about this episode.
Oh, well, another way of disagreeing is to talk about what he is talking about and give a flip side of this overall view of the episode, potentially.
Yeah, well, I don't know about all that, but what I'm trying to say is...
Okay, hold on. All right, Justin, remind me in a second what we're talking about. Pete, read your list so we can move on with the podcast.
Okay, so there's this interesting idea that I think, we have the fun with Flurry having bird blindness, and we get a Peacemaker who is Nazi blind. He doesn't seem to be picking up on giant Hitler murals and stuff like that. So I thought it was an interesting idea of people's different blindness and the fact that
he's Hitler blind.
Is Hitler blind, and that really bit him in the ass in this episode.
Yeah. And that's in real life too, right? Hitler, the main thing that he would do is bite people in the ass, I believe.
He's a scamp. He's a scamp.
Great. Was that your whole list? Just that one thing?
Nope. I really
if we go back to the discussion then, or do you need to get more out?
Because let me say that was just a joke. That was not it was funny, but that was literally just played for a joke. I feel like, and honestly, I thought this episode was comedically pretty good and funnier than other episodes.
Yeah. I will mention about that. They had a third beat to that joke because it was originally supposed to go. After they look at the swastika flag, Harcourt was like, you didn't notice that there was Mein Kampf on every desk? And he was like, I don't read. And then they were going to cut, and usually was like, what about those guys by the copier? And it would cut to a bunch of guys by the copier who all have Hitler mustaches. And then he'd be like, no, I didn't see them before. And then she'd be like, what about that mural of Hitler? As the third beat of the joke. But they ultimately cut the guys with the Hitler stashes because apparently it just looked too fakey and stagey. But the funnier part about it is they apparently spent several days filming those scenes, and the extras actually did shave Hitler stashes, not glue-on ones or anything like that. So
that's crazy. I was going to say the mustaches glued on looked goofy, but these guys committed.
Yeah.
You know, you hear about in an audition, you're like, are you willing to shave? I never expect them to be like, into a Hitler mustache. And that's what they did. That's the worst possible shave.
Absolutely. And at that
That's
point
really
also,
funny.
I'm like, I don't know, maybe leave it out. That's okay. This does not need to be my big break necessarily.
Imagine you shave your mustache. Because just background, as an actor, when you audition, they often have you do a couple strange things that you wouldn't expect. You show your hands on camera in your audition often, and then they say, are you willing to shave if you have facial hair? And those guys had to shave into a Hitler mustache and then expect they're going to be in the episode with this Hitler stash. Cut.
That was the closest I ever came to getting an agent. I did a showcase out in L.A. one time, and I got a phone call from this agent. He was like, "Oh man, I really think you're funny. Would you be willing to shave your goatee?" And I was like, "Nope." And then
Wow. Oh my God! Why did you say
I didn't. I wasn't thinking. Like I was completely
God.
blindsided. I've never thought about it before.
We got to get the Earth X version of Pete on the podcast. The one who was like, absolutely, I'll shave my goatee.
I didn't.
That's the most
I didn't
Pete thing ever.
I didn't understand. Like for a job, would you be willing? You know what I mean? I just
You thought he was a weirdo?
I just thought he was asking me, and I was like, "Oh, I never thought of it. I don't think I would."
Pete, that's like Dumb and Dumber. That's like Dumb and Dumber that they refused to get on the bus of swimsuit models level choice right there.
Yeah, it was. It haunts me at night if it makes you feel any better.
And look, your goatee's never been stronger.
Yes. To get back to what Justin was saying, if that's okay, what are you saying, first of all? No, we can't get back to it.
I would like to talk about some more positive things if we can.
We will, Pete. This is in the overview portion. We don't need to go in on how much you liked the pencils on the desk. We'll get to that in a little bit. But what I was saying is this episode I feel like they built the emotional stakes really well across the season. And this episode feels like it almost purposefully undercut the stakes, dispensed with the emotionality of the doorway universe, and to an effect to get back to the Argus stuff that has felt so side plotty and continues to, that I guess is building up to the big bad. So it just felt like this was such a break in what they've done such a great job building.
Well, part of it, is it okay if I talk? Or Pete?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, great. I just want to check with you as you're the
Are you willing to shave? You willing to shave, Pete?
I'm not, but Pete is. I talked to his alt-universe double. Every time you say this, I keep forgetting what I was going to say, Pete, and it's driving me a little insane. So,
well, you're the one going off on side tangents. Talk if you want to talk, Ben, but I was just trying to remark on his...
no, go ahead. If you want to remark on it, please, go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel that that's interesting because I feel like the tension of this episode was so much that, like, I was very nervous because where we left ads was in a very scary position. So normally I'm very much like watching the opening dance number and the DC flip going, oh, this is fun. I'm so happy I get to watch this episode. Or this time I was like, oh, God, I got through this. I'm so nervous. How the fuck is ads going to get out of this racist world? Like, she's not running towards the door. She's literally running in a world where nobody is looking out for her and she's all by herself. So, like, it's interesting that you're saying that, like, there is no tension or there's no, because I was like, the importance of kind of like getting her out alive was pretty huge.
Well, I mean, I hear you there. That was played at the end of the episode. While it was a scary situation, it was played comedically to me. Like, it was so, like, Buster Keaton, like we talked about. So I was pretty confident it was going to be, like, a funny, physical resolution to that chase. And we did get it, but even that was sort of weird. Like, her jumping into the pool, I was like, why would you ever jump into
Why would you?
Well, dude, when you're panicked and running for your life, it's not like you're making logical decisions.
And everyone knows Nazis can't swim.
Yeah,
like that's a pretty open thing about Nazis in all sorts of Nazi movies. They're like, I can't get in the water.
That's why we have U-boats, Unterboats.
They're like, I just ate 10 minutes ago. It's too soon to get in the water.
Yeah, that was all a setup for the Judomaster thing, which, mind you, him being like, wow, that's the most people I've ever electrocuted in a swimming pool. It'd be like, how many people did you previously? And he was like, 4.
He didn't just say 4. It was an evil 4. It was
he was very happy about it. That was great. Like, that was very funny, but I don't think it's worth the weird plot point of, like, gotta get in this swimming pool.
Well, and that's why I felt like this episode just seemed, there were so many logical inconsistencies. I felt like this felt rushed. I was like, you could have found a way to get Adebayo in the pool. Like, she could have, like, not seen it and fallen in or something. But instead, she just, like, jumps in. I was like, why did you do it that way? To get to something that it feels so forced.
It was similar to, like, this is not the overall point that I wanted to make, but this is while we're talking about this, because that's the way conversations go. Like, one person says something and you kind of like follow up on it. I'm just
ongoing education. No,
this is all news to me. I'm writing this down.
Good. I wish you were writing it down.
Well, I think that it follows with like what Augie and Keith were doing, where there was too much of like, we can't let people find out about the quantum unfolding chamber in our library. If Peacemaker gets captured, he'll tell the cops. So we have to kill like 15 cops and blow up their vehicles. That just didn't follow to me at all. Like, there had to be, like, they're heroes in this world. So they come down and be like, we got it from here. Or something like that. Like, literally anything. Instead, it just amped up the situation for some action in a way that didn't make sense to me. Additionally, Peacemaker and Harcourt losing on a motorbike, like, also didn't quite make sense to me. Like, there's ways they can get away from that. Yeah.
There was this running bit, speaking of what you're saying, of like people okay with killing cops. Like, they were like very much like, there was this one part where they were like, let's just kill the cops. And they're like, I'm cool with killing cops. So I think like them flying in and kind of just like killing everybody, which, yeah, I agree with you, doesn't make sense or whatever. Doesn't seem to fit kind of their evil plans and this evil world. But I think it was this kind of running bit of like, just
I mean, they retroactively explained it when Augie is like, yeah, cops aren't so great here, sweetheart, or whatever his line is. But to get back to what Justin was saying earlier, it's my overall issue, and this is going to blast out probably far too big for this episode because I've been thinking a lot about it since I watched the episode last night. But like, I think the biggest thing, and we'll see what happens in the finale, but is backing off of the whole Earth X thing in total. And I understand a certain level of like, I don't know how much we want to see people of color in work camps. I don't know how much we want to see like Nazis torturing people or anything like that. Yes. But backing away from that shows, I think, a lack of courage on the part of the show to follow through on the idea that they're doing. That also comes to bear in Augie's speech towards the end of the episode. At least the way what we're supposed to take from it is made me very uncomfortable. Like, here's how I think the show is laying it out, right? Is that you have the whole thing where Augie is talking about this other Peacemaker, our Peacemaker from the DCU is, like, clearly he can tell he's a good guy. He doesn't know how he feels about his own son on Earth X. He tells Keith that. Keith is like sputtering mad, but Augie is clearly in charge, and he makes the deal with him. He is like, get out of here, never return. We're going to change the code. You just got to leave. I'm going to let you go. And I didn't write down the exact dialogue, but Harcourt says something to him about it, to the effect of like, that's awfully generous for a Nazi. And he's like, don't call me that. And
I think
she's like,
that's
what?
A hint.
Yeah.
Because also Peacemaker was also like, I think that his dad jumped to realms before Peacemaker.
I think they switched. Yeah. They swapped.
That's actually his dad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's totally fair, or he had an affair with his mom or something like that. That's not my point about the theory. My point is that like, him then giving this speech about essentially like almost the Superman speech from Superman of, I'm a good man just doing the best that I can in this world, and I'm attacking man-men and monsters and whatever.
Yeah,
and
like punk rock.
I don't know. I like punk rock. I don't like punk rock, whatever you were saying. My point being that like, he gives this whole speech there, and then like you said, Pete, Peacemaker's like, he wasn't a Nazi, and gets super sad about it. We stay with Peacemaker's emotional journey. That's good. I'm glad to see that. But at the same time, I think what we are supposed to take away from the show is like, oh, wow, that Augie wasn't a Nazi. Okay, he's a good guy. Here's the problem. That's the show, and that's what the show is telling us. Divorced from the show, somebody who is a top-tier superhero who lives in a big house and reaps all the benefits of a Nazi world and is like, I'm not a Nazi, is still working with and buoying up the Nazis. There's a couple of different phrases. There's the phrase like good Germans, people who are like, well, I don't support the Nazis, but I live in Germany and I did literally nothing to stop the rise of fascism. That's not meant complimentarily to the good Germans. Taking it a step further, and I would honestly put Augie in this category, and frankly got like a fair amount of flack last night when I said this online, but he's a collaborator. Like, he is somebody who is saving people in the Nazi world from threats, making it so that it can continue apace and the trains can run on time and all the things fascism needs to continue, when he and his top trio have the power to attack work camps and free people and do the right thing. So by avoiding doing the right thing in a Nazi world, I'm not going to say like word-wise he's a Nazi, but he's still a bad guy and doing bad things. And my problem is that the show and James Gunn, I don't think, are leaning in that direction, or as we've seen with several other things, we've called out Red State Wild and the cultural appropriation. I've certainly talked about him essentially, Peacemaker essentially sexually assaulting Harcourt 2 from Earth X. They're all probably not going to deal with that either. Like, these are all these things that they're like backing away from. And the last thing that I'll say, and I'll try to make this brief, but like, I feel like this is becoming a bad habit of James Gunn's section of the DCU, because we saw the same thing with Creature Commandos, where they set up the Proud Boys men's rights activist style Sons of Themyscira, and then like just kind of ditch that halfway through the season to be like, what is monsters? And then in Superman, same thing. And there's been like a lot written about this. But was it about Israel and Palestine? Was it not? Recently, James Gunn was like, no, it wasn't about that at all. It was just about, you know, trying to be a good person in a world where things are hard, period. And I don't know why people took that from it. But I don't know. If you're going to keep throwing these things in there, there needs to be a level of understanding about textually what you're saying in these different movies and TV shows, particularly in a politically volatile world. And if you're not going to say that, that's fine. Back off of it. Cut it out entirely. Just make it like good versus evil, yay, and that's it. Versus what he's doing, which is he's like, is this stove hot? Just touching it a little bit. Well, see you later.
And I'd be curious, I don't know if anyone will be able to ask him this question. I hope so, because it just strikes me as strange, like even leaving out the moral and societal consequences of just like throwing these issues up there without sort of dealing with them. Just from a creative point of view, it's strange to not pay it off. Like when you're putting these ideas out there that are so clearly about something that is like going to make us feel a certain way, or politically, emotionally, whatever, to not pay them off in any way is just odd. And like, is it a problem with the rewrite process, or is like, hey, we want to touch this interesting idea? And then over the course of the rewrite, they're like, you know what? I don't know if we want to go this hard, whether it's coming from him, another creative, or the studio or something. But then it's like, well, we still like enough having this in there a little bit. And it's like, well, now you're harming your final creative product by only half doing something.
I think that's a... Oh, go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say, like, I think I agree with you that, like, it would be cleaner just to be like, hey, Nazis are bad, this is all awful, and, like, you know what I mean, have that clear take instead of it being like, ooh, maybe he's a good Nazi or a bad Nazi or whatever. Because I think there is this interesting thing that Peacemaker, I think, is trying to deal with it, is like, you know, sometimes as a kid you can think your father is one way or another, but as you get older, you learn more about life and like, oh, he had to make tough decisions. And I think they're playing with this idea that like Peacemaker may have thought about his dad one way and maybe he's a little different than I thought. But the problem is we're also in this muddy thing of he's a Nazi, which is just awful. So it's hard to show that, you know, that relationship and kind of have it, you know, maybe his dad wasn't, because I feel like that's what they're also trying to do. But
I do think, though, they have a chance to pay off that particular part of this equation. And I bet they will in the finale, because my prediction is a little bit what Pete was saying, that I think the dad's, when Keith in a prime DC universe died, I bet his dad went in and sort of did the same thing Peacemaker did, is found this other universe and found a way to swap with the other dad, who maybe didn't care. And he's like, okay, I have to live in this Nazi Earth, but I get to have my family. And that's a selfish choice. And I wonder, so to your point, Alex, either they will do that and it'll be about that, or maybe they could go so far as to have Augie from that universe be working for the Sons of Liberty, or have started it or something and fighting back. Because I feel like they're going to try to, based on the way that Peacemaker was reacting to the dad being stabbed and seeing all that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be something. He just stands there. They keep cutting back to him, staring like, what? Wait. So I think there is another shoe to drop there.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Like I said, all of this is predicated on we have not seen the finale, so we don't know what is going to happen there. But like, to what you were saying, Pete, I just want to emphasize again, I think in terms of Peacemaker's emotional journey, very specifically, the show is doing a good job. It's the outside stuff that feels very wobbly to me. Like you were saying, Justin, just to get more specific about it, it was driving me a little crazy that you set up all of these things with EarthX, like, okay, we got a revolutionary group called the Sons of Liberty. Seen a little bit of them, find out Vigilante is part of them, and there are work camps that people of color are being taken to. Here we go. And instead, the show makes a choice. Spend, I want to say, a good 50% of the episode inside of a house. Which is the least interesting choice visually and action-wise to do on a show like this. So, again, maybe they'll go back to EarthX. Maybe there's more to be said there, and I certainly hope so. Yeah.
Well, there's definitely more story to be told about that. If this just becomes a portal fight with Argus, I'm like, wow, what a fumbling of the bag, because they work so hard to bring us to this place. I do think, if nothing else, Keith has been set up as a big villain.
Oh yeah,
that I think I would hope will be paid off in this finale episode. In fact, that he survived. He's going to be. And let's remember, I think he is a Nazi. He's a pretty convicted. Convincingly into it.
Yeah, he was chasing ads down the street, and his dad was like, come on. He's like, I'm kind of in the middle of something, and I wasn't sure which way he was going to go on that.
So I have a feeling he will end up coming back to the main DCU through some sort of portal situation. And we'll get to that thing that I had predicted, or we had predicted earlier on, of Peacemaker will have to kill him by the end of the season.
I just want to say one last overall structural thing here that I think about the season, and I know this is the soapbox I always get on, but everything that we're saying here, it really... Almost every episode of this podcast, I think we've kind of punted off to the next episode to be like, okay, as long as they resolve this in the future. Right. So there's a lot of weight on the finale right now to resolve these things. I think even more so than usual. And that points to the fact that, like, the large majority of this season was one long movie. Like, it was just chunks of scenes. I know I've said that incessantly, but I really feel like the first 3 episodes were episodic, and then we've hit this thing where every episode is subsequently shorter than the next one, down to this one was, if I remember correctly, like 33 minutes long, which is fine, but there's no narrative arc for the episode. It's just, here's another chunk of things that happen to these characters, when it might have been better served if you had fewer episodes, chunk those together, so you did feel like some sort of emotional arc. As is, there's so much pressure on the finale because not much of that emotional lifting has been done on the prior, I want to say, 4 episodes, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you made the comparison to Creature Commandos, which I think sort of had a similar issue. Like, it felt like a movie, and then it just, in the back, half, it just sort of wobbled a little bit, and then it landed itself in a way where I was like, oh, there was so much more on the table in the first half of the season, and we just sort of finished. We just sort of like let it hit the finish line without really landing all these things.
can we get into some more fun stuff that happened in the episode?
Yes.
The
Time for some candy.
Thank you. Yeah, the vigilante stuff was very enjoyable. The moment where he's kind of talking with himself and then just goes, "Oh, I remembered. I came with a black person. I gotta go," was just like, oh man.
Technically black, I believe he says. She's technically black, which I was like, that's a funny way to say that. A person who's technically black, I believe he says.
Also, what was the joke? There was a nice, I wish I had written it down, but there was a nice rhythm to the thing where he was like, it's crazy here. Cheerios has an OH at the end. And he's like, also the Nazis won World War II. And he's like, whoa, that's almost as weird as the Cheerios box.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, okay.
Vigilante, very fun. I will say, what are they? It's the other one came through the portal, right? Like they messed it up, right?
Oh, you think so?
Ooh.
I mean,
also, did you see that?
Or both of them?
Hardcore had that look because Vigilante kind of saved her on the way out the door there, and she had that kind of longy look there. I was like, oh man, what's that about?
That was a weird moment. I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but they totally could switch Vigilantes, and it kind of wouldn't matter. Right?
No.
Because
I mean, the whole thing has been that they're too similar.
Yes.
So, yes. But the most fun thing, if I were like comedically, is to have them both be back in the DCU.
And I really thought that's what they were going to do. Because
and it was the fun bit of like, hey, Ads, can you tell which one of us is which? And she's like, yeah, the one talking. And he's like, oh, like just the stupid stuff that they were having fun with was really a blast. And just adding one more to the fun was kind of a nice thing. But also the Ads and Judomaster sit down was great. Like I really loved their scenes. Her kind of working her stuff out about her ex was nice. She finally had someone to kind of talk to about that. The Judomaster just kind of is just this a psycho who the more you talk to, the more you're like, oh my God, this dude. I enjoyed those small Scrabble playing moments, even though it's not Scrabble. Yeah, Scrabble.
I mean, listen, the Judomaster Adebayo scene, maybe this is just me throwing something out there. Maybe that is pointing to what James Gunn is trying to get across this season, which is I find, frankly, very naive idea, though I know a lot of people say this, that if you just sit down and talk with somebody on the opposite end of the spectrum, you'll find out that you have a lot in common. So in this case, Judomaster and Adebayo ostensibly should hate each other. They talk about, she just tased him a bunch of times and
a lot.
He's been fighting them, but that's in her speech. She talks about with Peacemaker that she's like, yeah, on the surface he seems like a dumb jerk, but once you start to listen to his music, get past the cheesiness, you understand it. You understand that he's a sweet guy, and that's the same thing happening with Adebayo and Judomaster. Beyond just generally being like a naive sort of thing in the real world, if that's the thing James Gunn has tried to express, I also think we shouldn't allow it to be extrapolated towards Nazis, frankly, but maybe that's just me.
Also, they also kind of, she talks about how, our world isn't so different from this Nazi forward world, which I thought was also a nice message.
Yeah, I mean, like those scenes they was just so straight like exposition-y theme dumping that I was like, we could have done this a little bit differently. They were literally just sitting there saying the ideas that the show wants to be about.
Did you want us to look right at the camera?
Exactly.
That's basically what they're doing. Like, there's a certain sense that in terms of the politics of this show and a lot of what James Gunn does, it's on level with like the this is maybe too an odd line thing to say, but like the alt Department of Labor accounts that post where they're like, hey, here's what's really going on in the government. And it's like, no, it's not. You're not in the government. You don't know what you're doing. You're just like a resistance grifter account. And that's it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is like, do you think that will affect their conversation of like, really, let's sit down and listen to each other? A show that is like, always choosing the violent thing for the point of the show. I'm not knocking it for that, but it's just interesting. To me, it feels like that was more like they're going to say that so that Judomaster at the end won't snitch on them.
Well, you can tell he walks right back over to the other side when they line up. And they had this moment, but what does it really affect? I mean, I think
but then immediately he backs them up. Like, he backs up the lie that Peacemaker makes about them going to the other dimension to get him and the dimensional portal.
But also saves his ass backing that lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Again, maybe the idea here is there's good people on both sides, which I'm willing to allow with Argus and the 11th Street kids, but I don't want to extrapolate in other directions.
Well, I don't think they're going to go all the way into the Nazi side of that.
They kind of already did with Augie, but anyway.
You think they're going to go full Nazi?
I do think they're going to... I really hope the show has an answer there, because it's definitely left as a too open-ended mystery. And I also think that's going to be a reason for him to be for Peacemaker to be mad at Vigilante going forward, even though it's like, you all do that. You all just kill someone randomly. So it's not like he did an extra bad thing.
Yeah.
One of the other bits I really liked was Economos trying to kind of like fake that he didn't, he's like, oh, who are these guys? And what suit is that you're wearing? I thought that was a fun bit. And they were like, stop, Economos, we know. And
I could have used a couple more beats. Maybe there was more there with him and Eagly, because that felt a little half-baked comedically. Like, I like the idea of Eagly bringing him string to get out of his ropes. That's funny.
That's like, it's like the, Baby Groot all over again, where it's like, hey, we need this, and he brings
maybe that's why they didn't do it, because it is actually, yes, you're right, it's the same bit. But that's the bit that I wanted to see. That's what they set up.
It is interesting, I noticed when I was watching the opening credits, Economos is dancing like Eagly in those opening credits. Sort of, it cuts from him doing an Eagly dance. So I think they were paired together from the
Yes, dude, dissect the dance number. All the answers are there, my friend.
Yeah, one thing we haven't actually talked about with the dance number is there was this ongoing theory about one of the first dance moves that John Cena does there, which people are like, oh, he's doing a swastika in the opening credits. And there was a whole thing that happened this week where they had that dance move as an emote on Fortnite, and Fortnite pulled it, like, publicly, in a very weird way. They put up a post being like, hey, we're trying to find out what our partner's intentions were with this dance move. Until then, we're taking it down and we'll refund anybody. And people are like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Warner Brothers got back to them and was like, no, that was actually not the intention of that dance move at all. So... I don't know. I saw somebody point out that there's a similar dance move that happens in Foxy Shazam's video for the song they use for the opening credits. So that's probably actually what they're doing, and it was just a coincidence.
Yeah, and I don't like to say that is meant to be a swastika. I was like, I just don't quite buy that, because he's just doing like sort of arms up and down. It's not. Yeah. Not really. I don't think.
I also like the kind of like rock musical, kind of like these rock music video moments that were happening where like Peacemaker is riding on the bike and the music's playing, and Harcourt just kind of like leans on his back. And I was like, oh, what, like and all this
very
madness, and all this madness, they have a nice moment. And
I'm not sure why she did that. Like, his reaction was great. His reaction was just like an utter peace. I don't care about the cops behind me, anything else. That was awesome. I don't know why Harcourt did that, though.
Oh, she's probably just tired. You go to a Nazi dimension, it takes a lot out of you.
Exhausting.
For sure.
Yeah. There's a nice shoulder to lean on.
I just got a pillow, actually, and I asked them to give me John Cena's back softness. And it's great. Like, I've slept like a baby.
I'll take the Peacemaker jetpack thread count, please, for this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I agree with you. It feels like their conversation is not over. And, like, the fact that she's like, I do love him. I was like, what? You just said a bunch of other stuff before in the previous episode. So, like, I don't want to just yada yada to them being happy. And we only have so much real estate in this last episode.
Yes. I mean, two things that I'll throw out about that. One, the only way I could kind of excuse it is her responding to his immediate flip out of the world, which was also a surprising moment for me, because I think we speculated like he'd sort of waffle about, should I live here? Oh God, what do I do about my dad and my brother? But instead, the second he finds out it's Nazi world, he's like, going home, let's leave, which is great. Like, that's a good hero moment. So maybe she was responding to that. The other thing is, apparently we are finally going to get the party boat scene next episode. Ooh. So whatever is and has been going on with Harcourt and Peacemaker, I think there's going to be a lot more explanation of it in the finale, because there's certainly, like Justin is saying, has to be.
Can I ask you about your pillow that you ordered? I just wanted when you order a pillow like that, do they say you have to use it while you're riding on the back of a motorcycle being chased by cops, or is it just like an everyday pillow that you can use?
No, but it is a clear pillow. You can't see it.
That makes sense.
Right, Pete? Pete?
That's great. That makes me very happy.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
While you're doing John Cena, like, I do think I've been very critical of this episode. I thought his performance in this episode was great.
Yes.
He had to be very straight over the plate with being emotional and like being a hero without any of the take. I feel like Peacemaker in the first season and a lot of the season, there's a little bit of like a take there, or like he's fucking up. And in this, he had to just step up and be a direct hero. And the Harcourt scene on the motorcycle, and then him reacting to his father, I thought his performance was excellent across all of those scenes.
I really liked him kind of like freaking out at the end too. I felt like they did such a great job with like the way that was shot and his expressions and everything, of just kind of being like in the middle of a tragic event and just kind of flailing and freaking out. And like sometimes you have flashbacks and scenes, you're like, Jesus, why would that come up now? Where I felt like they did such a great job of like really kind of keying in on all the things being triggered there. So I was impressed with that moment, and I thought it was really kind of cool, and just him kind of being like in the back of the car being kind of taken away at the end. Just well done.
What else? Any other moments as we start to wrap up here? Pete, anything else? Or Justin?
I only have one. I really liked the joke with the Judomaster. I think he said it. Adebayo was like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, him, they love. Funny, good one. That's why comedically this episode was a brighter spot in what I thought was an otherwise sort of messy episode.
And, Alex, you were talking about how Peacemaker kept walking around with a jetpack that he was never using. We got to see that happen. That was a fun moment.
That was cool, too. Yes.
Yeah. Very fun. Very fun. Thought also he went through the glass door instead of directly through the door. That was a fun moment as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Why don't we've already done this a fair amount, but why don't we talk about what we want to see in the finale, or what we need to see in the finale?
Oh my God, this is it? Just one more episode?
Just one more episode. And just to sort of lay the groundwork here, beyond everything that we see coming in the plot, James Gunn has been very specific about this final episode. There's two things that he's mentioned very consistently. First thing that he's mentioned is this directly feeds into Man of Tomorrow, which is the Superman kind of sequel involving Lex Luthor and Superman. So it's very important for that, if you consider that important. And then, which we do, we're on a DC podcast. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. The other thing that he's mentioned is when people ask about Peacemaker Season 3, he said, wait until you see the finale.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Certainly points in a number of potential directions that could go. Yes.
Points in the direction of the opening dance number where Eagly kills everybody. So,
you want an Eagly spinoff.
I think we talked about this on the episode you weren't on, but you have been spot on with your Eagle predictions. So now I'm worried.
You have what we call an eagle eye. And we've always said that. I mean, predictions-wise, we have said, I think, I want to pay off the Augie stuff. I like the theory we've talked about that there was a dimensional dad swap that led to him being there, and we're going to get some explanation of that. I think
you guys should be worried about that, by the way. You're both dads.
Yeah, I'd swap it.
You want to swap, Justin?
Yeah, let's do it. I just ran into your wife on the streets of Brooklyn, so I'm already halfway. She was in my neighborhood. I don't know what's happening. I think Keith needs to come back. We need to have a big confrontation there to pay off, because we forget how much of the earlier part, like the first two episodes, were about him. It was about Peacemaker feeling guilty and regretting what happened with Keith in his universe. So I think that's where the season will end. And for the rest of the characters, I don't know. Like, it feels like there's not a lot going on for any of them that needs resolution. Like, what are the biggest issues for everyone? Like, Adebayo needs to take that ad out of the Mercenary magazine because she got taken.
Well, she needs to get back together with her girlfriend and maybe move to Gotham City. So I think we'll see some sort of resolution for her there. Harcourt probably working for Argus again. I can't imagine that it ends with her and Peacemaker riding off into the sunset or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yes, you think so? Pete, you're a romantic.
It would be nice. I think how it's going to go down is they're going to kind of have a meeting without Peacemaker because he's in jail, and they're going to sit around and talk about all the shit that just went down, and then they're going to say, we got to get Peacemaker out. And so they're going to break Peacemaker out, but they're going to piss off Eagly because him and Economos are already fighting, and Eagly's going to summon all of its powers and then just kind of murder everybody.
Yeah, my big question going into this final episode, given how the season has veered in so many different directions, is how much is actually going to come together. Like, how satisfying will it be as a finale versus a tee-up into the next piece of the DCU? I really hope it's not that. I really hope it's not like, and we're setting up Man of Tomorrow. Like, you can do an end credit scene or a final scene where Lex is like, here we go, or whatever it is, cool. But make it about Peacemaker. Keep it focused on Peacemaker, his emotional journey. I don't know where we need to go at this point other than he started thinking he's a hero now and wanting to be a hero. So does that leave him in a place where he finally feels like he's a hero? Does he leave and go to Earth X so he can be like, this is a place where I can definitively fight evil? I don't know. Or does he turn into a villain? Like, does he full on become a bad guy in the universe or something like that? Like, I think that's the thing we need to see completed.
First off, I think it's interesting that you called him. You said this is a piece of the DC universe. So in truth, he's a peacemaker, Piece, because he's making pieces of content.
Oh, do you think he's going to become like Jigsaw or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I think. But I think there's a chance. I mean, I'm thinking about the cameo we saw of Peacemaker in the Superman movie, and he seemed much more like hard-nosed, button-down, no-nonsense hero, but sort of on the wrong side of things. That feels like maybe that's where they're headed.
Yeah. I think, if anything, the end Peacemaker season 3 is, I don't think we end with a resolution of the characters. I think it's Peacemaker either ending up on a new team. We've certainly speculated that, like, Rick Flag starts a Time Masters type situation or something like that, exploring different portals that could feed directly into that. So maybe there's still a Peacemaker season 3 down the road, but the show Peacemaker is about him, but also the 11th Street kids. So if there was a split up there, and that would make a little more sense to me.
But don't you think we get Peacemaker on the Justice Gang?
Maybe.
Isn't Peacemaker sort of the Deadpool of the DC universe, so they're going to want to put him in places so where he can be seen more?
I think so. They certainly want to see him more and want him to pop up, but like, I just don't know how we get from where we are now to there. Particularly if the episode keeps getting shorter, because I assume next week is going to be like, what, 10, 15 minutes?
How dare you, sir.
I think next week they go low.
You're the same guy who is like, let episodes be however long they need to be.
No, and I do, but at the same time, like, they went they got a
man.
minute or two shorter every single week. That's all. I'm just pointing out facts, Pete. Just facts. Well, that is it. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about Peacemaker, Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice. To subscribe and follow the show, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, Daddy, bring us home.
Oh, boy.